I'm Chef Frank, this is Protocooks, and today we're making shrimp escabeche. You might ask, what's the difference between escabeche and ceviche? The main difference here is that ceviche is raw protein. You're gonna take the raw protein and you're going to put it in acid and it's gonna cook in the acid. Whereas with an escabeche, you're gonna take this protein, which today is shrimp, and we're gonna cook it in boiling water with heat rather than with acid. There are so many different ways you can make escabeche, and this is just the way that I do it. This is what my family likes. Here's the ingredients. Shrimp, cilantro, garlic, jalapeno, lemons, limes, oranges, tomatoes, red onion, and ketchup. Yes, I said ketchup. Shout out to my girl Emily. First thing I wanna do is cook the shrimp, right? I have some water boiling. I'm gonna season that water up. A fair amount of salt. Everyone always complains, Chef Frank puts too much salt in things. I'm putting just the right amount. Don't forget it. Lemons. Just gonna take some lemons, or one lemon, squeeze it in there and let it float in there. And that's what I'm gonna do, right? This is gonna give my shrimp a little bit of flavor and seasoning, okay? I'm gonna cook the shrimp about half to 3/4 of the way, right? Probably closer to half because I'm not gonna ice these down. A lot of times you'll see recipes that do this and they ice things down. I'm just gonna take them out, put them on a tray, spread them out thin, and let them cool. They will carry over cook a little, which means there's residual heat in the shrimp and they'll continue cooking once I put them on the tray. So if I go about halfway, they'll cook up to about 3/4 and they'll have a beautiful texture in our escabeche. Okay, shrimp going in, dump them in. I have this beautiful little spider here. I'm just gonna stir them around a couple of times and you can see that they're still a little kind of like translucent. I'm gonna wait for them to go almost all the way opaque. Almost all the way, remember, we want to, I'm gonna undercook these because they're gonna carry over. Maybe another 10 seconds. And I think that's it. That is all. I'm gonna put them onto my tray. I'm gonna let these chill on my tray. Make sure you get all the shrimp out. I'm gonna put them in the fridge and let them chill. Something I like to do with my red onion for ceviche and for escabeche is soak it in some cold water. This not only helps crisp the onions a little, gives them a little texture, it also takes away some of the onion bite. I wanna taste onion, but I don't want onion to overpower. So let's get them in some water and soak them for about 10 minutes and we'll drain them off. I like to take off both ends of my onions and then I'm gonna cut it in half. I usually take off this first layer, right? I always find that that first layer is a little chewy, a little too firm. So I always take that first layer off. Make sure you have no onion skins like this, because we don't want onion skin in there. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this and cut it in half, and I'm gonna slice it really thin, right into the water. It's gonna have a nice crunchiness to it. It's gonna taste like onion, but it's not gonna be overpowering. Okay, right in there. Right, we're gonna let this sit for about 10 minutes and we'll drain it out. While the shrimp is chilling, let's get everything else ready to go. First thing I'm gonna do is squeeze the citrus, and I'm just gonna cut everything in half. Use fresh citrus for this, right? And you can use a mixture of anything you want. For the most part, this is just a standard kind of blend that I like to use, but use fresh. Don't use the stuff in the jar or the can or whatever it comes in, right? I don't mind if there's a little pulp in here, it just adds a little texture, but I'm just gonna squeeze my citrus into a bowl. The orange, I feel, gives us a little sweetness. When you squeeze it like this, you get a little bit of the oil in the skin too, which gives you a really nice flavor. If any seeds kind of fall in here, I'll just get them out before I add anything else. So that's all of our citrus juice. If we need more, we can always squeeze a little more. All right, citrus is in the bowl. I drained my onions really good, so they were soaking for about 10 minutes. Right in there. I'm gonna do my garlic next. Just give garlic a whack. Get the peel off. I take the little stem end off. And I'm just gonna kind of chop that. Just kind of a rough chop. I'm really rustic with this, right? Some rough chopped garlic in there. Jalapeno, I'm gonna just cut this in half. I'm probably just gonna use a half this, just because I don't want this to be too spicy. I cut it in quarters. And then I'm gonna cut out the seeds and the membrane. Everyone seems to think that the seeds are spicy. It's actually the membrane part that's spicy. The seeds are just attached to it. I've done experiments with all my students, a lot of my students in classes, and we've done taste tests, and it is the membrane that is hot. I mean, the flesh is spicy as well, but for the most part, it's the membrane. If you want less heat, take the membrane and the seeds as well out, okay? And I'm just gonna do a small dice on this. Again, the amount of heat that you put in this is up to you. You can always taste your chilies. If you have a spicy chili, always give it a taste before you put it in there if you're worried about having too much heat, right? So jalapenos are in, and then tomatoes. I like tomatoes in this. They're fresh, they add some juice. I like to cut on the side of the stem here, and then you make a little V-cut to get that stem piece out, right? Because that's, you know, it's usually a little dry and stuff like that, right? So cut on the side, and then do your V-cut there and take that out, okay? And I'm just gonna do like a nice kind of rough chop on this as well. It helps with tomatoes to have a nice sharp knife. Goes in. I leave the seeds in there and everything. It's just nice and juicy. When it comes to the cilantro, I don't mind a little cilantro stem, right? I just don't want the big ones. See these big stems? They tend to be really woody. So any really large stems I'll pull out. If you don't like cilantro, I know some people say it tastes soapy to them. Understood. Do something else. You can use mint here. You can use basil or Thai basil. You can use parsley. Most people don't think of parsley as something that's delicious, but I do think parsley is delicious as well. There's tons of flavor. You'll see in lots of different cooking they use the stems as well. With herbs, you get it all together in a bunch and you kind of roll it up into like a nice tight bundle. And then you can just chop it. And usually with herbs like this, tender herbs, I try and just go once across this way, give it a turn, and go across this way, and that's it. I think that people over chop herbs. Sometimes they chop it so much that you lose a lot of flavor to the cutting board, so I only chop my herbs once or twice through, and that is it. We got the lemon juice, the lime juice, the orange juice, the tomatoes, the onions, cilantro in there now, and now I'm gonna hit it with a little bit of ketchup. Now, people will say like, oh chef, ketchup, what are you, gross? I think that the ketchup, and I'm probably just gonna put like 1/4 cup in there. The ketchup adds a little sweetness. It also helps bind it together and lets the juice stick to the shrimp a little bit better. So if you don't like ketchup, omit it. It's not a big deal, but I like the flavor of it. I think it just adds something. I'm gonna hit this with a little bit of salt right now, and after we put the shrimp in, I'll hit it with a little more salt and re-season it. But that's it. That is our mix or our marinade for our escabeche. The shrimp is chilled, cold, not warm, not lukewarm, but ice cold, right? And I did it like this on purpose, right? A lot of times people will want to clean it up before they cook it. I'm gonna clean it up, right? So first thing I wanna do is pull the little tail off, and the tails can go away. They just pop off, you give it a little squeeze and pull. And what I like to do with these is, I take my shrimp and I'm gonna cut them in half this way, kind of like lengthwise. If I see any sort of debris in here, which if you see stuff in here, that's basically poop and you want to get that out, right? So I'm gonna slice them like this, and there's a reason why I want them like this. A lot of times you'll see people do like an escabeche or a ceviche like this. And I find that this gives you more surface area for the flavor and the vegetables and the juice to cling to. So I like to do it like this. You'll see that our shrimp is cooked, but it's still slightly under, and that's what I want. Okay, so let's put that aside. Right, if there's anything in there, you can just scrape it out. But for the most part, these shrimp are pretty clean. But this is your opportunity if there is any, or a vein in there or poop in there, to get it out. See, there's a little bit in there. You can scrape it out. Get a towel, wipe it on your towel. So our shrimp is cut. This all goes in with the veggies. And then we mix it up. Get in there real good. Make sure we cover our shrimp really good. Get them into the liquid, right? Everything's mixed. I'm gonna give this a little taste now, and then we'll do a final tasting. I can't find my Star Wars tasting spoon. It's missing. So for this one, I just have to use a regular spoon. I'm gonna taste the juice and a little piece of shrimp. Needs a touch more salt. I'm gonna put this in the fridge. And I'm gonna let it sit for at least a half hour, right? I would probably let it go for about 6 hours, but that's about it. Then I'd serve it. So let's get it in the fridge and we'll do our final tasting. It's been about a half hour, 45 minutes in the fridge. Let's plate it up and let's give it a taste. Make sure you get some juice in there. I don't mind if it's really juicy. I have a little bit of some flaky sea salt. You know, we like our finishing salts as chefs, so it gives a little bit of a crunch. All right? And that's our escabeche. So let's give it a taste. Get a little of that juice. I like to eat it with a spoon anyway. It's got this nice acidity to it. The shrimp is nice and firm from not only the cooking, but the acid as well. The tomatoes add some freshness. The onions add some crunch. It's absolutely delicious. And that's my shrimp escabeche. I hope you liked this. If you did, give us a thumbs up, a like, and subscribe. Hit the little bell to get notifications when we have a new video out. We have merch in the description down below. Need Salt t-shirts, cups, totes. I want to thank my patrons for supporting us. Thank you so much. We have an address in the description down below as well. And as always, the recipe's down there too. That's it. That's shrimp escabeche. I'm Chef Frank. This is Protocooks. Have a good one.